Aloha, my name is Kiana Liu, and I'm here today with my fellow alumni Sophia to teach you more about how to go zero waste.
Aloha mai kako. My name is Sophia Domingo, and I just graduated from Dartmouth College with a degree in environmental studies. I first became involved with the Maui Huleau Foundation in 2015 with the Eat Local project, and then in 2016 I helped lead the Summer Eco Adventure program. Today, Kiana and I will be discussing going zero waste. Zero waste is a crucial step in protecting our ecological environment and becoming sustainable, which means using our resources in a way that meets the needs of the present without depleting the resources needed to support future generations. By committing to zero waste, we are trying to minimize as much of our environmental impact as possible. We are currently in a global climate crisis. Global warming is increasing land and ocean temperatures, sea level rise, and extreme weather events, such as wildfires, drought, and hurricanes. Global warming is caused by the increase of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide and methane in the atmosphere, and this is a direct result of human activities. Understanding this is an essential part of zero waste because most of the products and packaging that we buy and consume are produced by burning fossil fuels, and then they are shipped across the world to get here. So it is essential that we decrease our contribution to greenhouse gas production by reducing waste and reducing our overall consumption habits. Next, we have deforestation, which is the permanent removal of trees, usually due to infrastructure expansion, agriculture and livestock growth, or logging for materials. Deforestation also adds to climate change because trees are important in absorbing excess carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Many of the zero waste practices you will learn in this unit help prevent deforestation.
Plastic pollution is the accumulation of plastic objects and particles in the Earth's environment which affects wildlife habitats, and humans. Although some plastic pollution is intentionally littered, most are due to poor waste management. This has become a real issue as the plastic can find its way into a storm drain or stream and ultimately end up in the ocean. We also ship out a lot of our plastic to countries that don't have the capacity to process it all. It can then end up in unregulated landfills or polluting the environment. There are 5 subtropical areas in the oceans where surface currents circulate to form gyres. These gyres are full of the world's trash, which is largely plastic. This trash harms wildlife through ingestion, entanglement, and even habitat disruption. There is also evidence that the microplastics are making their way up the food chain and to our plates. The zero waste hierarchy was developed to provide more depth to the traditional 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle, and to encourage the highest and best use of materials from the top down. The first is rethink and redesign. Most of the things that we use are made using a linear system, which starts with the extraction of resources from the environment and ends with waste which pollutes the environment. A closed-loop system tries to imitate the cycles in nature, in which all waste is a resource. To learn more about what a closed-loop system could look like, you can watch the Story of Stuff video in the Additional Resources section. Then, once the product's uses are complete, it can then be recycled for reuse or composted. For example, turning old tires into new shoes, which is a form of recycling. We have the perspective that we can just throw something away and forget about it, but waste can actually be a very valuable resource.
Next is reduce. By decreasing our overall consumption, we can help to decrease waste. However, when we do need to buy things, it is important that we become smarter, more sustainable consumers. We can achieve this by planning meals to avoid food waste, buying products that last longer, researching the environmental impacts of what we buy, and buying local whenever possible. Always use what you have at home first before buying a sustainable replacement. For example, this toothbrush is made with sustainably sourced bamboo, wood, and fibers, and it is fully compostable. But if you already have a package of toothbrushes at home, don't buy this type of product until you run out.
Reuse is something we as individuals can practice in our everyday lives. To demonstrate this, I brought a few of my favorite zero waste products to help you in your zero waste journey. First are reusable Hydro Flasks or water bottles, and these can be kind of pricey sometimes. So I've also brought an example that you could use an old jar. Of course, you'd want to use a bigger jar, but this is the only one I have. But you can clean it and reuse it and have a drinking bottle. Another thing is a reusable foodware utensil. So this is a spork made by Maui Huliao. I like it because it's lightweight. You can just throw it into your bag or your car and use it when you go out to eat. They also have kits like this where you can pack your own utensils and maybe some chopsticks and be ready to go. Another product I really love for smoothies or for drinking boba are these reusable straws. You can see this one's for boba, and metal or bamboo is really good. Lastly are these food containers. So they have metal, they also have wood alternatives, and they also have glass alternatives like this. So there are so many options out there. Remember that everything you buy takes resources to make, so you want to focus on buying a few reusable products that you know you'll use for years to come. Use what you have first and then make the switch to sustainable products, which will also help you to save money in the long run.
We will be learning more about composting and growing our own food in future classes. But in a nutshell, composting is a great way to redirect waste from the landfill and return essential nutrients to the soil. On average, half of the waste we throw away is actually compostable. When food waste is sent to the landfills, it is buried and cut off from oxygen, which releases methane, a very harmful greenhouse gas. Composting therefore reduces the greenhouse gas emissions from food waste that would otherwise be decomposing in the landfill. You can instead compost food waste, yard waste, and other organic materials in your own backyard and use this compost to grow food. This is a great example of turning a linear waste system into a closed loop. The last form of waste management is the landfill. At the landfill, waste materials are disposed of by compacting them and covering them in the ground. This removes oxygen and causes something called anaerobic decomposition, in which microbes decompose waste in an oxygen-depleted environment and produce methane, a powerful greenhouse gas. This is the most common form of waste disposal, and really it is not ideal because landfills can cause toxic runoff, leaching into groundwater, and it produces methane. However, it is still better than littering or incineration.
Recycling is the act of converting waste into a reusable material. But is recycling the answer? Recycling is a better option than the landfill or incinerator, but it isn't the golden ticket, because only 9% of what you actually throw into your bin is recycled. The recycling process is expensive, inconsistent, and has a high carbon footprint. But what about that little recycling symbol? Doesn't it mean it's recyclable? So I've actually brought an example on a very big misconception. So these, you would think that they would be recyclable, but the resin code underneath is actually 5, and only 1 in 2 plastics are recyclable here on Maui, so unfortunately this is not recyclable. The number that you see on the bottom of plastic packaging is what's called a resin identification code. Consumers often assume that this code means a package is automatically recyclable, but that's not the case. These codes just identify what type of plastic the product is made out of. So what is currently recyclable on Maui? Like I said before, plastics with 1 and 2 resin codes with NEX only are recyclable. Other things include cardboard, newspaper, aluminum cans, glass bottles and jars, and please note that items must be free of food waste to be recycled, so make sure to clean out all your jars and cans. What is wishcycling? Wishcycling is when you assume something is recyclable, so you put it into your recycle bin, but it actually ends up contaminating the recycling process. Anything that you take to the recycling center or put in a recycling bin ends up here, in a material recovery facility, or MRF. MRF employees have to hand sort out anything that is not recyclable before they bundle up materials to be sold to recycling companies, which can be as far away as China or Indonesia. So anything that you wishcycle actually just makes the recycling process more expensive and difficult to maintain. Reusable is always better, but since everything is becoming takeout or to-go because of this COVID-19 pandemic, disposable foodware is sometimes necessary. But say you're having a family get-together. Make sure they are using paper, wood, or fiber that can be composted on the island. Use the BPI logo to make sure it's certified compostable. Many single-use foodware products are made from paper, but if there's a design on it, most likely it's lined with plastic and is not compostable. The safest and least expensive option is to use paper or wood products that are unlined and uncoated. So what's PLA? PLA is a bioplastic, which is a type of plastic made from biological substances rather than petroleum. Unfortunately, these products only break down in a commercial composting facility, which we do not currently have on Maui. Therefore, they must be sent to the landfill. However, we do prefer PLA over petroleum-based plastics as they do not leave the same harmful chemicals behind as they decompose. Eventually, we hope to have a commercial composting facility on Maui where we can process them properly. Generally, if it looks and feels like plastic, it will not break down as easily. Stick to disposables that are paper, wood, or fiber when you can.
Greenwashing is an increasingly common marketing strategy where companies use advertising and labeling to trick customers into thinking products are eco-friendly. The company itself does little to nothing to minimize their impact, yet they increase their profit by marketing towards environmentally conscious consumers. The terms that they use are unregulated and meaningless. This is similar to labeling food as natural. Watch out for words such as biodegradable, superdegradable, green, earth-friendly, made from recycled materials, eco, or produced with plant starch. Instead, look for the certified compostable logo. Earth Choice clamshells are a particularly common greenwashing product because they are not recyclable or compostable at all. It is actually made from plastic with a small amount of non-plastic filler. This spring, Maui County passed a ban on single-use plastic disposable foodware, and it will be effective starting in January 2022. This ban means that plastic clamshells, bowls, cups, plates, utensils, and straws cannot be sold or provided here in Maui County. This is a great example of how legislative decisions can help us move towards zero waste and why it's really important to stay involved in local politics. Bill 52, as well as our previous plastic bag ban and styrofoam ban, were all because of community initiatives.
Now I will introduce the unit's activities in the order that you should complete them. In Sort Your Waste Quizlet, you will use Quizlet flashcards and games to learn which items are compostable and recyclable and which items must be sent to the landfill. The main activity of this unit is conducting a 3-day home waste audit. In this activity, you will study all the trash that your family produces for 3 days and sort it into categories. After completing the Quizlet activity above, you should have a better idea of what goes where. Read the instructions in the activity carefully before getting started. The best way to do this is to place 2 other bins near your trash can for those 3 days, one for recyclables and another with a lid for food waste. You will then weigh the various types of waste using a container and a household scale and create a pie chart showing your results. In the Google form, you will also upload a photo of your sorted waste and analyze your findings to see how you can reduce your household waste. In the third activity, you will use an online footprint calculator to see how many earths we would need if everyone lived like you, and learn about how to reduce this footprint. In the Keep the Microbe Happy game, you will learn about the role of microbes in composting and the ingredients needed to successfully turn food and yard waste into compost. In the Additional Resources section, you will find optional extra resources such as the Story of Stuff videos, referred to in this Prezi, and resources for starting a backyard compost pile. After you complete all the activities, take the unit quiz to get full credit for this unit. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you learn more about how to go zero waste.